What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. So grateful that you're here with us as always. On the episode today, we get part 2 of Liz's story of her experience in toxic relationships, and more importantly, what she did to create the life of her dreams after these relationships. This is really powerful stuff, not only because of the content, but because for the first time ever, we had a guest in the studio. It was awesome. We're all vibing. So without further ado, here is part 2 of Liz's story. Sorry, I just want to kind of jump in.
Yeah.
The first relationship was how long altogether, do you think?
It was about 3.5 years.
3.5 years,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's, you know, being 16, 17, going through that in high school. I didn't know people that were going through that. And I know people do, but, you know, and I grew up in like a really rich, nice area. Like you don't.
It's not the norm.
Yeah,
for sure.
Not at all, and very looked down upon. You know, no one my best friend did not understand at all what was happening, or she was just like, "Why are you with him? Like, why are you letting him control you?"
Yeah, and so I think this is, because Liz, I want to get to the other side where you're at now, because obviously that's kind of the triumph. But before we get to kind of the sunshine and rainbows at Yosemite with the bald eagles and stuff, right?
The bears.
I want to stay with this a little bit just to look at it, right? Because, it's like obviously the line of work that Dallas and I are in, this is all too common.
Oh, yeah.
Right, Dal?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
On both sides, both sexes, right? Obviously, or not obviously, I don't want to assume, but like we see it more with women, with abusive men.
Yeah, domestic violence for sure presents more with women, but does exist for both.
It exists for both, and we've seen both. But I think what I want to point to and why I asked about the length, the runtime of this thing is because for a lot of people, it can be really hard to understand, like, why don't you just leave, right? And a lot of people, like with addiction stereotypes, like, why don't you just quit? And that's what I really want to look at, especially like when we look at how old you were, these like developmental years where
formative.
Yeah. Like the stuff that happens to us back then really does
play a huge role.
It plays a role in how we develop,
Absolutely.
But when we talk about domestic violence or addiction and it's like, oh, why not just leave? Oh, why not just quit? The three of us know, obviously, it's way more complex.
Absolutely.
But Liz, maybe we could look at, like, what was keeping you there? I mean, we touched on it a little bit with your attachment issues and stuff like that, but maybe you could break it down a little bit. Like, give us kind of an insight as to what made it so hard to leave.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably the biggest factor was just the attachment issues, just not, I saw my dad less than a year in my entire life, 5 days out of the year,
Sure.
And when I'd see him, it was not positive. It was
made things worse sometimes.
Yeah. So I was just very insecure. I never fit in anywhere. I was always horrible social anxiety. I never felt like I fit in anywhere. So I think, it's not like I never had any friends, but when I had that person that was like in love with me or into me, and it was like, how do I let that go? There's one person on this whole planet that's into me.
For sure. And that feels really good.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
And like we said, I was so like attracted to him and everything. It just didn't. And he fed me the lies of, and I know he felt like his emotions were, but it's like an empath and a narcissist, or like borderline. People with borderline usually attract to narcissists. It's just, and the intense emotions. But it's funny because like I've done a lot of healing from that relationship and gone, where my life's at now. I can't even imagine that being my life. But when I was reading The Dark Side of Light Chasers, and then also when we connected about this, which was a couple months ago, I've had a lot of time to, I went through what I was going to say and everything. And I didn't realize till reading that book and doing this that how much he actually gaslighted me. Mm-hmm. And I knew he was crazy, but I don't think I realized the role he actually played in it. I always took responsibility and for my actions because I definitely did a lot of bad things in that, or wrong things in that relationship. But I didn't realize, like, he would tell me, like, nobody, like, no guy would ever love me. My father couldn't even love me. He's the only guy that would, and then he would throw at me like something, if he's like comparing me to his exes, saying like, you're way more beautiful and way more better and just a kinder person than all these girls, blah blah blah. But then he would tell me no guy ever wants to marry me or would not marry me, be with me, whatever, So I think that definitely him gaslighting me played a big role.
That's huge. Yeah. And I'm just like so curious selfishly. Did you read that book before the show or having heard us talk about the book?
So I actually, because I had Dallas on Facebook already, and I think I liked you guys' page. Like, I saw something where you had a sign that says like, what do you love about yourself or something?
Yeah.
And I think I clicked on your page and liked it and never really looked at it. And then those nights where you're just up on Facebook till 4, scrolling, just looking at videos.
Yeah.
I had one of those nights and I couldn't sleep. So I got on and I went down just a little and I saw a black video that said shame. And I clicked on it and it was you talking about the dark side of Light Chasers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was just a little clip from talking about it.
I know what video it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And that's how I even started listening to the podcast.
And that's when you read the book?
Yeah. Same. Wow. So as you guys were like talking about it on the podcast, I was reading it too. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like living that experience.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And fucking dude, just huge shout out to that book.
That book is incredible.
Debbie Ford, Dark Side of the Light Chasers. I mean, talk about a book that changes your life.
100%. Yeah. It's totally made me like change the way I look at myself and others.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Dude, me too.
Remember, Dal, you guys did a book club at work.
Yeah, we did a book club. Yeah, and talk about a book that was just so awesome to explore with somebody.
Yeah.
Even in like very like negative context.
Oh,
I'm like, why do you hate this book so much?
Yes.
Like, what is coming up for you? Like, what is it that you don't want to see that's coming up?
Right.
People show up. I'm like, what do you think about the chapter? And like, oh, it's so fucking stupid. Debbie Ford, blah, 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 blah. And I just sit there and smile. I'm like,
just
so,
wait.
yeah. What's coming up for you?
Yeah.
What are you not trying to see?
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, that book's awesome. Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of a big realization for you. And by gaslighting, what do you mean by that specifically? Because I know some people have like different like interpretations of that word. I know what I think it means. What are you using it as?
I would say like kind of the example I gave where he would tell me how great I am, but then tell me like no one will ever.
For sure.
Yeah. Or also like, I guess, just like making me feel like I'm so crazy.
That's
exactly
perfect.
Which I already felt that way from the things that were going on.
You didn't need more of that.
Yeah, and him, I mean, like he used to tell me that, I don't know if you guys remember or people listening remember the Jodi Arias case.
Yeah.
And she had borderline personality disorder and like stabbed her boyfriend like 30 times or whatever, and it was a huge case. She was from Arizona too.
Yeah,
so.
she was. Yeah.
So I don't know if it was bigger in Arizona, but he always told me like I was going to be the next her.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's perfect. That's why I asked, right? Because I know gaslighting is almost like a buzzword lately. So I want to kind of clarify, like he was making you out to be crazy.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that was his goal. It's like the specific, you're crazy, here's why.
Yeah.
It's straight out of the Narcissist Playbook, really.
It is.
You know, and you're absolutely right. You know, people with personality disorder, attachment disorder naturally gravitate to the narcissist, right? Because they're you know, there is a I don't want to say a positive side to narcissism, but it does serve in a way where it's really attractive.
Mm-hmm. They're charming.
So charming and so confident.
And arrogant.
But it's like, ooh, like, damn, this guy, like, he knows
what he's talking about.
He knows who he is. And it can be a good look, right?
For sure.
But the gaslighting, it's like, so the reason I wanted to bring attention to that is because like toxic relationships, addiction, it shows up in the same way. Only instead of it being a dude or a woman, it's the drug, right? So we look at this drug like everything I've ever wanted, I can have with this substance. I want to be able to be at the party and not feel anxious or self-conscious. I want to seem funny and confident, and alcohol has my back, right? And that's just a really interesting parallel. And I think a lot of like right now with people that are in toxic relationships, so much of it is the promise of it'll get better. This is all you deserve. This is like what you have here is what you'll have out there. So why not just stay here? And that can be really tough turf to navigate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think a lot that was coming up for me, and you kind of nailed it on the head too, but a lot of it for me is, like you were saying, right? Like just leave, just get out of it. How could you put yourself in that situation? Like I guess the ignorance towards it, right? And like statistically speaking, this stuff happens all the time. People are trapped all the time. These shitty relationships are happening all the time. People are trying to control people, and it's fucking nuts.
Yeah, man.
And so I think as far as like being an ally or supporting in any way, it's kind of just thinking like we said earlier a little bit, like how could this person want to stay? Like what is going on to make them stay?
Yeah.
Not like how could you stay?
Yeah.
But it's like being curious as to how does this makes sense to the person for a reason?
Yep.
And that's like far more important than like what you think about the situation.
Exactly.
And that's a hard space to be in, because if you don't have the experience, like you were saying, with addiction, or if you don't have the experience with domestic violence, it does just seem crazy.
Yeah.
But how crazy is it? Or like a cry for help that someone doesn't think it's bad.
Right. Yeah.
And how can you support that? And how can you be helpful or like open to being an ally to somebody in those situations?
Yeah.
So that's what I try to do.
I honestly think that like, for me now, I can look at my friends that are in bad situations, and instead of like trying to be like, get out of it, like, what are you doing? It's like, I just support them. I tell them like, it's your choice, whatever you want to do. And I'm going to be there for you, and I think that's the best way to do it for sure. Like supporting them, even if their boyfriend or their girlfriend is crazy and toxic, and it's just accepting not only your friend, or family, whoever it is, but accepting their significant other, because then that's going to make them feel cared for.
Exactly.
By you.
It's
You're not making things worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The other thing, Dal, that you kind of touched on too is like, much like drugs, these relationships serve in some way.
Yeah.
Right? And so rather than looking at how it doesn't serve, right? Because generally, and argue with me if you think I'm way off base here, Liz, but generally speaking, it's like way deep back there. It's like, yeah, I know it's bad, but, and then the laundry list, right? And
definitely.
so rather than approaching it with like, this is fucking terrible, you got to get out of there, like, are you crazy? It's more like, hey, like, what is this helping with? Like, how is this serving you? Because if it's like, well, I feel lonely, I feel like without this, I have nothing. Okay, cool. That's something we can work with.
Find different solutions for skills. Yeah.
But coming from a place of,
Judgment.
shame and judgment, it's like, oh my God, dude, that doesn't do anything.
Yeah, and I think building someone up in that situation, just making them feel good about themselves, and it's a good thing to do.
For sure. And like you said, like no matter what, like how many people told you to leave the relationship and get out of it?
Didn't have any effect on me.
Right. It's like getting sober. Like, how many times like people told me I need to stop fucking shooting heroin and crack? I'm like, yeah, it's probably a decent idea, but no. I want to like ride this thing till the wheels fall off and then I'll make the decision.
That's
which
right.
I did.
Yeah.
But it took like 6 years of hot garbage bullshit living to realize that they were right.
Yeah. For sure.
So like you were saying, the judgment, the shame, the like, why are you doing this? Doesn't help. But, I just like to make those points too.
Yeah,
like, to
absolutely.
point that out because most people are just going to say that.
Exactly. So now that we've kind of covered the history, I want to kind of look at what the work has looked like since then because, you know, you mentioned doing a lot of inner work and, you know, so I want to look at what work you've done since then and the role that that's played in your kind of transformation.
Yeah.
How's that feel?
Yeah.
That feels awesome. I feel like that's the only way to go.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's the show.
Yeah. I'll touch briefly on the next relationship because I think it kind of plays a piece into that, but I won't go into too much detail. But yeah, so then I started dating my next boyfriend who was the heroin addict. And when I started dating him, I fell in love with him and I realized what I had for my first ex was not love at all. And that alone made me realize that like, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't real. It was just toxicity. There was nothing real about that. And that the next relationship, you know, dating someone, a heroin addict for like 2 years, we were together. That made me grow up a lot. And it almost kind of just like flushed everything out from my previous relationship because that became my focus, keeping him alive and everything. So I don't, in regards to the actual first relationship healing, I think honestly, I'm still working on it. I think I disassociated a lot from it, which my therapist told me I did in high school.
She might not have been wrong.
Yeah. I was like, I don't get it. Like, because I'm very self-aware. I always have been very wise, but disassociate.
That was the way, right? Like, how do I deal with this? Oh, like you just disassociate from it actually happening.
Yeah.
That's right.
We learn how to do that. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I don't know. So once things ended with me and my next boyfriend, that relationship just took a totally different kind of toll on me. That was like actually the hardest thing I had to go through, watching someone I loved kill themselves, you know, day after day. So when that ended, I just started, the thing that really, I would say, changed my life, I started running. And I was never into fitness, ever. Never did sports. Like running in high school PE was the worst, you know?
Yeah,
like
dude,
run
so
around
bad.
the track for 10 minutes. Like,
I hated those days.
Yeah, and like your stupid basketball shorts and gray t-shirt. And like,
Yeah.
I
think it's screwed up that they made guys and girls wear the same outfit. Like wearing a t-shirt and gym shorts for a dude is a win.
Yeah.
If you're a female for the most part, that's not a win.
Yeah.
It was weird.
I just had to say that.
You're
for the
not
record.
wrong, Dal.
Yeah.
High school PE was weird.
Like I get home and that's what I put on.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
Liz does not want to go home and put that on.
No. Yeah. So, I recommend for anybody feeling down, anybody not even depressed or anything. I think physical exercise is the biggest antidepressant.
Amen.
Yeah.
No argument
double
here.
stamp that. Yeah. That's the truest thing.
That's something we prescribe almost every episode.
Yep.
Yeah, get out and get your body moving.
Yeah, I think our country would be in a lot better shape if people
We're all
were
running.
exercising.
Yeah, God.
We all look better too. Come on now.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I started running and it really became therapeutic and helped me heal a lot from the second relationship and started reading self-help books. One that really helped me was Brene Brown's Daring Greatly.
Daring Greatly, yeah.
Yeah.
Kick-ass book.
Yeah, super great. The vulnerability aspect really hit me hard.
Yeah.
And, like I was not vulnerable at all before and now here I am.
Yeah. Look at you now. Yeah.
And just like watching like TED Talks and stuff like that. But the biggest thing was I found a passion. I'm super into hiking and nature, which I didn't really grow up with that stuff. I did Girl Scouts, but like I was little. Yeah. So, in high school, my family never thought I'd be a hiker and like backpacker and roughing it out in nature all the time. And that's what I've healed mainly in nature. I've had, there's a mountain in Phoenix, which don't make fun of me, Dallas, because you brought up this mountain earlier when we were talking about people like.
Oh, that's so true. That's so true.
did.
Hey, it's okay. It's a sick ass mountain.
Yeah. So.
And I did that hike too, dude.
Okay,
on heroin once.
Yeah.
I threw up at the top, it's all good.
Of course you did it on heroin.
I did it. Yeah, I got a picture of it.
Yeah. So there's it's actually I think like one of the most hiked mountains in the country. It's called Camelback.
And it looks like a camel.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's like an easier side and a harder side. I've never done the easier side. So
Nice.
and I don't want to because I've done the harder.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I've hiked that mountain so many times and I've had the biggest breakthroughs hiking that mountain. And it's in the middle of the city. It's not like some nature thing, and there's tons of people, but I don't know. There's just been this thing where I like, as I'm going up, I'm like, why do I like doing this? I feel like shit. Why do I like hiking?
Yeah, it's so hot and I'm super tired and thirsty.
Yeah, it's like my lungs, and then I get to the top and I have this like little secret spot and I've like meditated up there and I've just had the biggest breakthroughs. And it sounds kind of crazy, but I consider Camelback my best friend.
Yeah.
That's not crazy at all.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what a best friend does for you,
That's right.
They like support you.
Yeah. And I had one of the biggest breakthroughs ever after meditating up there. And, but aside from that, I just found something I'm passionate about and, expressed healing in that way, which, I think people can find different passions. Not that nature's for everybody. People are artistic. Painting is a good way. I'm not at all.
Me neither. I'm not a painter. No, he's the creative one over here.
I try to paint, but
it's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard. You really got to be that like right brain creative person.
Yep.
Or I'm not. I'm very logical and left brain. So, but yeah. And I just continue if you do like just one small thing. There was probably a 4-month period where every morning, the first thing I did, instead of checking my social media, I went on Pinterest and I typed in positive quotes. And I just scrolled down through 10, 15 positive quotes and my day was so much better. And that alone just was so healing for me. Like journaling and just like consistency of the smallest things is really how I've kind of gotten to where I am.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's my shit right there.
Yeah.
All that stuff makes me so happy.
Me too.
So a couple things I extracted from what Liz said. My favorite is the whole it's 2020. Like anything that you fucking want to know about or need to know about is on the internet.
Yeah.
Whether that's where to buy heroin in a black market or like how to heal from like shame and how to be vulnerable. It's all there.
Yeah.
What are you looking for? So I love that you tapped into that. And I tell people that all the time. Anything you want to know, it's out there. You're the filter. You're the Google. Like you control your Google results. Like what are you putting in there? So I love that you did that. That's fucking awesome because people don't do that.
Yeah. No.
Like I do that all the time. Jeremy knows this. Every day before I go to work, I listen to like motivational videos, dude. And they get me juiced and hyped up. And then that just creates the biggest like push to just do things that I normally wouldn't do.
Yeah. And it really just like being able to like be alone is a big thing. Having the attachment issue.
Be with you.
Yeah. And like, I mean, I live alone now. Like I do like hike alone all the time and going from not even being able to pump gas to, I was going to go on this road trip alone until I met this guy. And I was a little scared, but more so like being in a forest alone, but
for sure.
My social anxiety, I mean, it still affects me in ways, but and just, like learning to be with yourself, learning to love yourself. It's just the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And just finding yourself.
Yeah. Or knowing that you're like telling yourself that like you are good enough.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to do. And most people
right.
spend their whole lives trying to figure that out.
Yeah. And I think one thing that really, actually changed my life, which when I was in the second relationship, I went to Thailand for 2 weeks on a volunteer trip and that totally changed my perspective on life. So I was lucky enough to have that. I know not everybody can go, do a 2-week backpacking trip in a different country, but going to a different community and seeing a different lifestyle really changes your perspective on things. It's, growing up in Scottsdale, I was kind of spoiled little, like I was in my bubble, like, white Christian family, and going to Thailand, I was like, oh my God, there's so much. I'd been other places, but this one just, it's like they're so happy just with simplicity.
Yeah.
It's not like poverty there, it's simplicity. And there's so much more out there. And the thing for me with nature, I'll climb a mountain and I'll look down and I'll be like, oh my God, I'm literally the smallest ant on this planet.
Yeah.
It just puts it into perspective that although those things I went through were real and valid, those are so tiny compared to the whole world,
That's the ultimate reframe.
Ultimate.
It's the ultimate one.
Yeah.
Is that we are super important and also not important at all.
Yeah.
That's right.
Life's
Wow.
so short, yeah.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I think my pull from that, Liz, I think nature is very healing because, forces us to just be with ourselves. And I think like for me, it's like a matter of unlearning hand-me-down beliefs. We did an episode on that, and it's like there's all these hand-me-down beliefs about relationships and love and connection and sex and all and friendship and all these
bodies,
the body, and what I'm learning more and more as I go through it is like, nobody else's narrative really matters except for my own. And what I've found, and I'm sure Dal, you could attest to this too, is like people that have spent years in whether it's an abusive relationship or toxic relationship or with like a broken home or racism or sex or whatever, there's a much deeper spiritual connection because it kind of forces us to like
find it,
because like, man, I mean, the world kind of let us down.
Yeah.
And I know for me, like for the longest time, I was looking outside for everything.
Yeah.
Oh, if I get the new iPhone, if I get this, if I have like the perfect relationship, if only my parents were normal,
then I could be happy.
Then I'll be happy, I'll be like a normal guy, just super happy. And
if
and when.
And
or,
when.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah. If this, then that, right?
Yeah.
But really it's like, denying that program, and just being with that brutal honesty of like, wow, like this is who I am. This is what I have. What's there, and I think that is really to be cherished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most important things that in changing your mindset on things is, realizing and accepting and fully realizing that you really do create your own life.
Amen.
Even though, when I was 16, I didn't want that. I didn't, but when you can take control of your mind, you can create any life. And, like I think my mindset going forward is always now, if each year isn't better than the last, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Even if shitty things happen, like I lost my dog this year and she was my everything. I had her for 8 years and that was the hardest thing I've had to go through personally. And as far as like a loss or anything,
For sure.
but this has still been the best year of my life. I've grown from it. I've had so many great experiences, it's just, that's the reframe and just, yeah.
That's beautiful. And I love that too. Because it's like, it can be both.
It can
always be both. And I think that's the beautiful part.
Amen.
So you can lose your dog and have an amazing year.
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to what you started with your takeaway, like that you're like the way you're handling all the negative things.
Dude, it's always going to be here. And we go through that so we can feel this way now. It's like you kind of, I know you got something. I'm sorry. I keep
going down.
I keep going, dude.
Keep going, bro.
I know. I'm like, shit, dude. But okay, so what did you say? You said, see, we were talking about all how this always happens.
This always happens, yeah.
Yeah, I get like so much that I got to say. And then when I go to say it, it's like, fuck, where did it go?
Yeah.
But it was essentially like the idea that we have to go through the darkness to see the light.
Amen.
Like you did, I did. And that's the beautiful part. Like we have to we have to be let down, right? One of my favorite quotes is from a band that's from Arizona. They're called Chronic Future. And in their song, they say to be blessed, you have to be cursed first. And I just love that, because all the bullshit we went through has turned us into these people that are amazing and crushing it.
That's right.
And can support the other people that go through what we've been through. And I think that's like, we always kind of say you gotta grow to give.
Yeah.
You gotta grow first.
I love that.
And you can't grow if life is awesome.
That's right. And that is just a beautiful segue to what I had, Dal, because, it's really like, in Debbie Ford's work, right? It's like, without shadow, without like this deep, dark place in ourselves that if people knew about, like, oh my God, we'd have no friends. Without that place, life can't really exist, right? Like it's not like when we look at spiritual bypassing, right? If I'm like if I have toxic optimism, right? If I'm like, oh, everything's just positive. Like if Liz shared this whole story and I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. It's like, well, a bit of a reach, right? And so it's not that. It's really that it's not like darkness or light. It's darkness with light. And I don't know. And to me, that's really, it speaks a lot to people that are in toxic relationships, because it's like, look, man, yes, like there is a place to be victim to these things, right? Like nobody should go through that, right? We were talking off the air about Dallas and I were talking about our feelings towards Liz's ex-boyfriend. We're not going to get into that on the air, but like, of course, like, you know, and so really it's when people are in these toxic relationships, it's like, yes, there's a place to feel the impact of this stuff, to feel the victimhood about it. And there is a place to say, wow, like that happened and that was really traumatic for me, and what am I going to do with that?
Yeah.
Right.
Space to be the hero.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean, it's not like you have to go advocate or you have to go to this or you have to, you know, it's like Joseph Campbell's work, right? With the hero's journey, and how he basically looked at myths and mythology thousands of years old. And he came up with an archetype that all the stories follow. It's called the hero's journey, right? And his life work centered around educating people on how they can be the hero in their own story. And that's, to me, kind of the epitome of like the way out.
Yeah.
Of the toxic relationship, abusive relationship, addiction. It's like, dude, like all this shit is happening, but you're not done yet.
Yeah, it will get better.
It will get better. Yeah, exactly.
The sun will always come out tomorrow.
Amen, dude. Yeah, when I remember when I was a little kid, and I would be going to bed, and I'd say, all right, Dad, see you tomorrow. And he would always say, no way around it. And I always like that, you know?
That is the most data shit I've ever heard. I love that.
That's Bruce Miller, dude.
God, Bruce Miller.
Bruce Miller, man.
Dude, toxic optimism. I fuck up words too.
Yeah.
One time, dude, this is the most toxic optimism spiritual bypass I've ever experienced. And I wasn't even there for it. It was like, explained to me. I'm going to leave the names out of it. However, this person was talking about how someone in her life was super sick and was probably going to die. And the person, just the other person, her coworker, said, yeah, but people don't die. They're just going to the afterlife. So don't worry about it. To this person that was like heartbroken over potentially losing one of the most important people in their life.
Wow.
And this person, without even a pause, just was like, yeah, but people don't die. They just move forward. So don't worry.
Wow.
And I was like, dude, that was the most like toxic, optimistic, spiritual bypass comment I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, wow.
I just thought I'd share that because I've never heard toxic optimism.
Yeah.
And it's like the perfect way to describe that.
It is, man. And I've been guilty of it too. And
me too.
You know,
me too. But not that fucking bad.
Not that fucking bad.
Not that bad.
But to Liz's point, I really like that you were able to find what you were passionate about with nature. Yeah. And I think that honestly, that is a big step one for a lot of people in this situation. It's like, hey man, like think back 3 years ago. What did you love to do? How can we get some more of that going on in life, you know?
Yeah, and for Liz, it was like you didn't really get a chance to live.
Experience
things. Yeah, like everything.
Yeah, have a college experience.
Dude, you got robbed of experience, and you got essentially like told that whatever you did was wrong and what you thought was wrong. And it's like, I'm happy that you got to experience unlearning all of that, and that was just someone else's pain projected onto you.
Yeah.
Whatever that was for that person, you know? And that's his shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy because once I did start doing nature stuff and really falling in love with that, like I've experienced a level of happiness I didn't even know was possible. And I mean, not that obviously every day I'm not that happy every day, but just gratitude, you know, that's a big one. I know like Brene Brown preaches on that, is expressing gratitude is really a reframe. But yeah, going from like literally, like I used to sit in my shower in high school, just like praying, quote unquote praying that I wasn't alive anymore, you know, and to go from that to now, like I've literally been in nature and just like cried from happiness. You know what I mean? And
how
like,
fucking cool is that?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I want people to know that there is a level of happiness that you can experience, and it's there.
Dude. What a heater.
What a heater.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta shout you out, Liz, for your vulnerability and your openness. it's not always an easy thing to talk about. And I'm grateful that somehow you ended up here.
Yeah, me too.
And that is
Yeah.
like, it's just the beauty of our connectedness, you know.
I know. I feel like when I listen to your guys' podcast, I just feel like I'm like there with you guys.
Yeah.
And like I've had mornings where I'm not feeling good and I put it on and I just listen. I'm like, it just calms me.
Oh,
like,
man.
Fuck yeah.
And like, there's a lot of things like, sorry, Dallas, but there's a lot of things you say. And I'm like, I swear I'm like so in sync with you sometimes. It's crazy.
Yeah. And
love
that's
that.
the thing is that there is like, I'm learning just now that there is something that connects us all. I know that's like some woo-woo shit, right? But I've never felt it more than I do now in a time where we are so disconnected, right? And that's really helped me to see like, whoa, dude. And what I see in Liz's story, I see in my own and I see in yours, right? And that it's just like, wow, we're all in this experience really together, you know? I mean, I know that's out there, Dal, but
But it's not wrong.
it's, you know, that's where I'm at with it. But
It's not wrong, dude.
but somehow Liz ended up in our studio here in Santa Cruz, California, Dal.
From Phoenix, Arizona.
From Phoenix, Arizona.
480.
That's amazing.
So yeah, that's like the shout out to social media for doing fucking something nice for once.
Right.
Yeah,
you know?
thanks, Mark.
Like not ruining lives.
Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks,
Mr.
Zuck.
Zuckerberg.
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah,
Zach.
dude. Freedom of speech. Fuck you. Mark. Fucking Deutsch.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah, but
He flagged my parents on Facebook.
did he really?
For their like political posts.
Oh yeah. Well, you know,
They're
Jeff,
active, bro. They're
Jeff
active.
gets out there, dude.
He gets out there.
Yeah, and we love him for it. Like,
Fuck yeah, we
God
do.
love him. Can I just share? Well, no, I won't share that. Never mind. I don't want to get too great. I don't want to like dox your parents, you know. But here's the thing. Liz ended up in our studio, having listened to the show, and I really hope our intention was to hear Liz's story. Even if nobody heard this episode, I would have wanted this to happen, and for that, I'm grateful.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
me too, man. I'm super excited and happy about all of this.
Yeah.
And what's cool too is when you're back on the road and listening to the episodes,
Yeah.
you will be here. Like
will.
now you have the real experience. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
you'll like this is what you'll visualize in your head.
Yeah.
Like, you'll just be
Every
right there.
time.
And
Yeah.
this is what it is every time.
Yeah.
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 This is exactly how it is every time.
Yeah. And also, you know, for people listening, if you're in a situation that sounds in any way like Liz's story, reach out to us, right? We could potentially even get you in touch with Liz, right?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, for sure.
I love
Is
that.
that a
For
I like
thing?
offer it and then ask.
Yeah.
Put me on the spot. No,
Liz
yeah.
is super available, right?
No, I definitely love giving my like 2 cents on this stuff because I think I have a pretty good perspective, especially coming from, you know, my mom's whole profession is mental health and personality disorders and everything. So I think, yeah, I enjoy talking to people about it.
Good.
Yeah, you got value to offer. You
Absolutely.
know? For sure.
Yeah, and my hope is that one person hears this and says, you know what, I think it's time I look at what it is to change, you know?
Yeah. And even just like, you don't feel, for me, like one thing I wanted to come on here and portray was like, you may feel like the most psychotic person in the world and like, you don't have to. You're not.
That's right.
It's just what's happening. It's kind of like what you said with the anxiety. It's not who you are. It's something that's happening.
Amen. That's exactly right. Okay, well, Dal, I guess we'll hit the plugs, huh?
Yeah. I just find myself like clinging to this experience right
Me
now.
too.
I'm like, fuck, we just
too.
gotta keep talking.
I
But
know.
that's just, you
Yeah.
know,
Well, you got your bro dinner.
that's
We do.
very true.
We got a bro
And I
dinner
have a
tonight.
bro on the beach.
Yeah,
Is he
that's
still on the beach?
Yeah. Well, I have the car. So yeah, I
Oh,
dropped him
fuck.
off.
We got
like
a
4
bro on the
hours ago.
beach, bro down.
Yeah, we got a bro down.
Dude, he's probably chilling. He's probably buried under the sand, just neck out.
Oh, he was in like a North Face jacket and jeans.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's got sand in his
He's
shorts,
fine.
dude.
He's chill. He's so chill.
He's broed out at the
he's
beach.
fine.
There we go, dude.
Hey, so listen, for more of this
Hey,
magic.
listen to me.
Yeah, hey, audience, listen.
I'm the captain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You can find us on the web at www.betterment. Wait,
Dot Betterment.
www.
You got it. 3 W's.
You find us on the web, www.betterment-bros.com. Thank you for the support there, Dal.
You're welcome.
And on social media, if you go to our Instagram right now, there's nothing there. Literally, there's nothing there. We got surprises coming. Okay.
We do.
So go to our Instagram. if you want to see what it looks like with nothing there.
Something funny about the Instagram
Tell
is
us.
the most action it's gotten in the last 4 months is just planning this trip with Liz.
That's true.
That's like
I figured it was easier to talk to you guys on Instagram, so I wasn't having to like reach out to you individually.
It is.
yeah, no, you get both of us,
Yeah.
and we both responded to you at different times.
I assume.
Did you pick up on it? Could you tell?
I mean, I couldn't tell who was who, but sometimes I could. Sometimes there'd be like a double response almost, kind of to like a previous thing, and I was like, that's probably the other one.
Yep. Yeah, we do
Love
that a
that,
lot.
dude.
But hey, that's good
Keep 'em
news
guessing.
for you, audience, because if you DM us on the gram,
Two
you
for
don't
one.
just get one, you get both of the Betterment Bros.
Both the bros.
And if you're in a situation and you'd like some support, if you've had something funny in your life happen that you want to share on the air, all inquiries go to bettermentbros@gmail.com. Is that all of them, Dal?
Well, yeah, we always do the shameless like review plug, and
That's
we also
right.
do that. We have Twitter.
We do have Twitter. I don't really know why. I mean, it's there if you want to tweet.
It's there if you want to tweet,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much
We
it.
had one fan tweet us once, so it worked.
Wow, yeah. Up
but-
until like 2 months ago, I didn't even know we had a Twitter.
Yeah.
Dal, you want to hit the review pitch real quick, man?
Review pitch.
Yeah.
Okay, let me put on the review roll hat.
There it is.
So if you land on our page, on any of the apps, wherever you get your podcasts, feel free to leave a review. Feel free to put some stars, negative, positive, no stars, 5 stars. I don't really care.
We don't care.
But it would be cool if people came to our podcast and were like, yo, these guys are funny and cool. You should listen to them.
That's right.
If I saw more reviews like that, I could feel better about myself and go from there.
No.
That was a joke. Yeah.
He's kidding, guys.
I always make the review pitch a joke because if you do it, cool. If you don't, no big deal. But
Yeah,
I'm
like-
bringing it up in case it creates something.
That's right. Yeah, if you feel inclined, leave one. If you don't leave a review, though, just know that we might end up just canceling the show. I'm putting a gun to the show's head right now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. We're
He's
kidding.
kidding.
But leave a review if you're there. And then Liz, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you
This
for
was
having
really
me.
special.
This was fucking huge.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, you got to come out to Santa Cruz more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
we'll do
one
another
day
one.
we'll go to Phoenix.
Yeah.
I'm going to Boulder. I'm moving to Boulder.
Boulder.
We'll go to Boulder.
That's
We
it,
will
dude.
all come back together. I'm absolutely positive.
I feel so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
All right.
So stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned for that. I'm Jeremy Miller.
I'm Dallas Terrell.
Take it easy.
There we go.